afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this this session. It's got quite a long introduction, which I'll spare you with. You can find out on your app. But the essence of what we're trying to do here is to talk about how the world, and India in particular, delivers energy to meet a growing economy, but decarbonizes at the same time. And of course, hits that absolutely important element, which is absolutely, yeah. And so so look, I'll just cut it out. The bit I missed out on, so delivering supply, decarbonizing, and affordability, all absolutely critical. And we'll watch our microphones. And look, I've got a really tremendous mix of people, senior people from across industry to talk about this. At the far end, we have Olivier Guerrini, who is from TotalEnergies, and he leads their biogas business. And to his right, we have Takeshi Hashimoto from Mitsui O.S.K. lines. He's in the shipping part of Mitsui, sells or delivers all sorts of products, hydrocarbons and other across the world. He's got a unique perspective. We have Gurdeep Singh, who's chairman of NTPC, who almost all of you out there will know is a giant power company in India, at the heart of the electrification industry. And last but absolutely not least is Arun Singh, who's chairman of ONGC, our sponsors here at IEW, and welcome to you all. So we'll conduct a bit of a conversation around this, and exactly as you said, Gurdeep, we'll try and maybe butt in. And if for some reason I'm ignoring you, just wave your hand at me. So I'm going to start with you, Arun. So you're an oil and gas producer, right? Not easy to change the business model, to think about the green power economy that Mr. Modi has talked about all morning. But I think the audience would love to hear what you're doing about those, let's call them the two goals of decarbonizing oil and gas production and delivering affordable energy to customers.
So being a national oil company and being an Indian oil company, to that extent our life is simpler, because India's per capita income being what it is, and India's per capita average energy consumption what it is, income is bound to grow, and so is the energy consumption. And at least we should aspire to become global average in terms of per capita consumption of primary energy. If that be the case, India will need both. India will need huge amount of conventional energy, and India will also has committed that while doing so, because we are mindful that we will have huge energy demand and we can't live without conventional energy. So basically in India, and you may be aware that we are large quantity we import. So for us, there is always a very strong case of doing a good exploration and project in India, production in India, and at the same time do whatever maximum we can do towards transition. But still it will not suffice, we know for sure, because our energy intensity or anything that you take will start tapering only after 2040. So for next 17, 18 years in all scenario, best case, worst case, mid case, India will keep consuming huge amount of energy, which includes conventional fuel. But at the same time, we have now, this renewable. Government has, ONGC also has taken a very ambitious target of at least scope 1 and scope 2 compliance of net zero by 2038. So at the same time, whatever ONGC can do, possibly in parallel for transition, that also will do. But our world is simple. We don't have any conflict between the two, at least for next 15, 20 years. So we can walk both the world, and maybe brisk walk in both the world. So that's the India's, being an Indian company and also being an Indian producer. So we have around, and we have a lot to explore. In fact, our eastern offshore and all that, in the government, you may be aware or not, I don't know, but one third of no-go area, government released one third of the sedimentary basin very recently for, which was conventionally known as no-go area. So we have to play both the world very strong, exploration, production, as well as transition, including renewables.
Very good. Very good.
Thank you.
No, thank you for that opening. I'll come to you, Gurdeep, next. So, a very different story. You know, a big power company, but at the heart, I imagine, of renewables. But tell us a bit about the story of your company, NTPC, and how it's playing this role in trying to achieve those goals, please.
Yeah, you rightly said that we are the largest power generators in the country. We supply almost 25% of the total electricity to the consumers with approximately 17% of the installed capacity. And we have now started aggressively investing into the renewables also. So we are no more a national thermal power corporation. But having said that, we are quite conscious that the first thing is that there is energy security. And for that energy security, the power has to be available on demand and it has to be affordable, both going together. But as it is quite evident that the direction is very clear, there has to be this move towards the transition. And what we have planned that by 2030, we will be trying to reach to the 50% non-fossil capacity, and that will cross at least 60 gigawatt on the renewable side, uh, and almost more than that at present on the coal-based or the fossil fuel side. So the one of the reason uh, that we are facing problem then in this side is about the gas price. I think the last session was discussing about the volatility, and the gas assets what we are having in the country are utilized to a very low capacity utilization factor. So those will also go up. Our energy demand, our power demand is increasing almost at a double digit. So as was mentioned by Mr. Singh, that we have the space for almost all. So our growth, economic growth, really can take us to almost double digit growth in the case of the power generation, and we will have to meet that, but we will have to go aggressive on the renewables also, and that is in line with what has been announced by Honorable Prime Minister, that we will be going up to 500 gigawatt by 2030.
And can I ask a follow-up question of you as well? So, in the Indian market, it's quite a price-sensitive market, isn't it? And so, over the last 2 years, we have massive fluctuations in international gas prices. And does that tend to stall the progress towards decarbonisation because you might want to run coal-fired plant rather than gas-fired plant? Is that true, and is it just a sort of short-term factor?
No, I think if you are following very closely, India has been the only country in the bigger economies that we have managed without any shortage of the power or the energy. We have seen that there has not been surge in the prices. We have been able to take care through the different means and the steps what we have timely taken. The gas is being utilized to a minimum level in case of the power sector. So this is only during some of the peak hours during the year, rather than continuously being fired. Uh, if the gas prices comes down, we will be able to take that in the grid as per the merit order. So what we follow is a something merit order, so that the price of the lowest resource is taken first, then the next, then the next. But having said that, it is important to note here that the renewable energy is must run, and there is no backing down on that. We had provided, as the government has come out with the policy and implemented very effectively, that there are numerous policy initiatives which has really helped for the growth of the renewable energy, like transmission is free for renewable energy. There is a must run. There is no backing down, no curtailment on those sides, and on the taxation side also. So there has been numerous incentives which is given. But at the same time, I think what you asked, we could manage very clearly when the world was facing this quite sharp increase in the prices, we have been able to maintain, and that is, I think, what was being told earlier also in this.
Really interesting. Thank you. So I'm now going to turn to you, Hashimoto-san, and of course you're one of the world's biggest shippers. I think you mentioned was it 900 ships? You own all or part of those ships, so it's an enormous fleet. And I imagine that India is one of your biggest markets, including, say, LNG. We'd love to hear, I think, your thoughts about the prospects for India's energy future from a shipping point of view.
Okay, thank you. Yes, since Mitsui O.S.K lines or MOL nowadays are operating almost 900 vessels all over the world, and the majority of the vessels are using oil as a fuel. So that since we already committed to achieve the net zero by 2050, it's a quite a big challenge for us at how to reduce the emission year by year. So that for the time being that we concentrate to increase that LNG burning the vessels, because compared to oil or fuel oil, that LNG is much more efficient to reduce that the emission of the GHG, and also that quite environmentally friendly. That if you think about the SOx and NOx and other things, and quite the clean energy. But still, LNG is the kind of the fossil fuel, and to achieve the real net zero, we need to introduce that real green fuels like the green ammonia, green methanol, green hydrogen, such kind of things. So that I'm quite confident that at some stage that these things will be available, achievable for us. But as of today, that the supply of these green products is still quite limited. So that our idea is that to increase the number of LNG, methanol, LPG burning vessels as a practical options, but at the same time that try to increase the kind of the pilot project that to use ammonia or green methanol or the green diesel, such kind of the products, slowly but steadily to increase. So that my own idea is that for coming 10 to 15 years, that we will concentrate our resource to maximize the utilization of LNG. At the same time, that gradually that increase the green products the percentage, and somewhere in between 2030-35, that we will accelerate that our activities to increase the green products. Probably that the green ammonia is very promising, but green methanol and green hydrogen and so many options open, and together with some CCS, CCUS type technologies. At the same time, that these things will provide us the business opportunities for us, because we are ready to transport the quite big volume of the new energy products like the ammonia, methanol, or hydrogen. So that it's to some extent it's a positive thing for us to expand our new business opportunities.
It's a very interesting point, and I'm going to ask you a follow-up question. So each of these different options, like green hydrogen, or let's just call it hydrogen, but premium hydrogen, ammonia, and methanol, they require different types of ships, don't they? So, continue the diversification of your fleet vessels, probably need different facilities in ports as well, I imagine.
Yeah, exactly. That the infrastructure is quite key, and that so that I cannot expect that the single solution will provide that will provide that whole solution. That I mean that as of today, that huge volume of the oil are used for the shipping industries. All over the world, perhaps that somewhere in between 200 to 300 million tons of oil are used for that shipping. So that the volume is really, really huge. So that some sector of the shipping will be most suitable for methanol, but other sectors will be suitable for ammonia or battery vessels or hydrogen vessels. So that my idea is that to replace the oil, we need to nurture that the 4 or 5 the different solutions to cover because that the volume is quite huge, and the single solution will not provide that good answer for us.
Thank you, Hashimoto-san. So many of the audience will be aware that biogas is another molecule that has been high profile over the last couple of years. We saw a couple of the majors, BP and Shell, make pretty large acquisitions in the space, really brought it front of mind. And we're lucky to have Olivier here with us, who's with TotalEnergies visiting. And I think we'd love to hear what the story is, what you're trying to do in biogas, where it fits into all these other molecules we've just heard about from Hashimoto-san and the other partners here on the stage. Olivier.
Oh, thank you for this opportunity to be here. So yes, we started biogas a few years ago. Really much, it's an important movement in TotalEnergies to diversify our production to low carbon molecules and also electricity and power. But for biogas, we really want to give the opportunity to our customers to buy natural gas and start to having a fuel that is a low carbon fuel, but it's still a fossil fuel. So if they want to go further in decarbonization, mainly for industrial appliances, so for big boilers, big furnaces, big customers in steel industry, cement industry, glass industry, for example, those kind of equipment are very efficient when they are using natural gas. So we are continuing to push that kind of things because when you use natural gas, you replace coal, you replace heavy oil, so it's largely better in terms of emission, in terms of particle, but you are still using a fossil fuel. So in that way, if you want to be better in terms of climate change, you need something that is more green. And what is fantastic with biogas is that when you use biogas to produce a substitute of natural gas, you can blend it with natural gas and it's completely free for the end user. You don't need to change anything to your process, to your boat, to your car, to your truck. Every kind of uses of natural gas you can use 1% to 100% of biogas inside because you fully met the specification of natural gas. So it's a fantastic opportunity, really much for the market to reach a low carbon fuel with natural gas. And here in India, we are pushing with our partner Adani a lot of things around LNG, around of gas, by deploying infrastructure, CNG stations, connecting households and industry to natural gas in order to reduce the emissions. And we give also the opportunity to some customers to go further in that way by using a part of biogas. So the main challenge for biogas is to deploy the infrastructure for production, which is very different than natural gas production. So it's you need to find feedstocks, you need to build plants, you need to develop a relationship with farmers. So it's a new topic, it's a new industry, and in that way we are investing a lot today. So we have a team that is dedicated to that in TotalEnergies. And now with our partner Adani here in India, we have great ambition to continue that development.
And just a quick follow-up, is it very localized to where the feedstock and existing distribution is, or can it set up nearly anywhere?
It's a very good question, Simon. I would like to say that we can do biogas everywhere in the world in which you have some farming activities and people that are living. Because when people are living, they are getting food. So at the end, you have waste, organic waste. So you can be everywhere. And today we are developing and investing in biogas in Europe, in US, in Brazil, in plenty of countries in the world. And we see that it's very easy to do it. And we have great ambition for India because there is so much organic waste to manage. In that way, biogas, it's not only a way to produce green energy, but it's also a way to manage waste. So because when you manage the waste, you have a great benefits for people, for cities. And also we are producing a residues that come from the process of anaerobic digestion. That is, we will call that a digest, which is a biofertilizer. When you do it industrially and you manage it well, it can replace fully also fossil fertilizer. So you have also a benefit on the downstream part of the value chain to replace a fossil product that can with something that is better. So also when we are walking in that pathway, yes, we are locating the plants somewhere close to the feedstocks to really much reduce the transportation, the collection radius. And after we use the gas network really much to transport the gas, like electricity, it's become a network of energy. And after the biofertilizers, it's also close to the farmers. So at the end, you have a very, very good circular economy to manage, and the energy can be exported far. So you can produce in New Delhi, export it in Mumbai, exporting in other cities without any problem if you have the network, which is one of the key points to deploy that infrastructure.
Super, thank you. Arun, I'll come back to you. So you talked a bit about ONGC's plan for decarbonisation. Could you talk a little bit specifically, and what's brought this question was, I think somewhere this morning it was mentioned that India, the government or the industry has identified 600 billion tons or gigatons of carbon capture and storage potential. I don't know if that's a figure you're familiar with, but I'm really interested in some of the specifics you're doing to try and decarbonize, because you've got these very aggressive targets for Scope 1 and Scope 2. Could you talk a little bit about that and whether carbon capture and storage fits into that?
So there are two major parts in this. One is that ONGC has committed to, in their routine operation, how to decarbonize to the extent possible. And there we have committed in COP28 that ONGC will reduce flaring to zero by 2030, and also methane emission in our normal ENP operation to zero by 2030. This is in our routine world. Second thing that we have committed is that to ourselves that we aim to create at least 10 gigawatt of power by 2030. So that is second commitment. Third, we have said that at least 2 million ton of green ammonia, that capacity will create at one of our coastal location. So these 3-4 efforts, which are quantifiable, tangible, that ONGC is pursuing today on a mass scale basis. Of course, something will come from organic route, something will come from inorganic route. So, but definitely in this direction. Last thing, which is of very great importance to ONGC, is carbon capture. ONGC has, you are right, ONGC has a very large number of reservoirs where we have produced for last 50 years or so, which are empty. Maybe that place either we use for natural gas storage or we use for carbon capture. So that part, of course, we are waiting for one trial, and also we are waiting for some regulatory framework to get developed, so that till it gets developed, we will have to do it at a very limited scale. But we have a good opportunity in that space in terms of carbon capture and in terms of creating green energy. But one more thing I wanted to say, that India storage story is working through pump storage projects. It is unlike the rest of the world, where India is not very rich in wind. So naturally, you don't get a balanced power. So naturally, that PSP, we have lots of water tributaries. So that part, if something comes, ONGC will be too keen to participate in that. So this is a, you can say, rainbow coalition sort of thing for transition side.
Very good, very good. Thank you for that. So Gurdeep, back to you. And so you've touched on this already, but we know that the government has, I was going to say doubling down on renewables, but actually it's tripling down, isn't it? It's trying to triple renewables capacity by 2030. Do you think it's possible? And what's your company doing to help get there?
Yeah, exactly. I think it's a stated objective that we will be reaching to almost 500 gigawatt by or before 2030. And as of today, we have almost around 180 gigawatts. So roughly, it is becoming almost tripling the by 2030. And there is no reason that it should. Well, again, there should not be any doubt in this. So as of now, when we are talking about at least around 80 gigawatt is under construction, and every day there are numerous projects which are being undertaken. Uh, just to let uh, you know at this stage that we as public sector, 3-4 companies, we are calling for the bids almost about 50 gigawatt every year, and wherein we will be buying that power and in turn selling to the distribution companies. So there is a very concrete plan which is in place, and there is this credible work which is going on ground. Uh, as I said earlier, as NTPC, we will be at least reaching to around 60 gigawatt by 2030. Uh, we are adding capacity in almost all forms, whether it's a bigger solar parks to the size of the 5 gigawatt at one place called Ultra Mega Renewable Energy Park. And from there onwards, it can be 1 gigawatt or maybe 100 megawatt. And even now, very recently, the government has come out with a very good policy that almost every household will have the rooftops solars then capacity, which is going to be another uh, uh, 40 to 50 gigawatt almost in a very short span of time. So there is no reason that we should have some kind of apprehension or the doubt that it will not. In fact, in all probability, we should be able to exceed this 500 gigawatt. Uh,
Was pretty astonishing. And you talk about reaching capacity as if there are no constraints on the supply chain of PV cells. Do you notice that at all, or do you worry that cranking up demand for them is going to cause problems?
Yeah, I think you have rightly raised the point, but I think if we just look at very carefully, in the last few months or in the last year or so, there has been some kind of relaxation on this, and in case of India, we are also having this incentives for starting manufacturing, and in next 2 years or so, we will have the capacity of around 65 gigawatt within the country. So we will be in a position to at least add that much in energy. So there should not be, and I think the work is going on in all fronts. And policy side, I think it is very well taken care that from the supply side, from the bidding side, or from the procurement side, I think every front there is work which is in progress.
Thank you for that. Hashimoto-san, you talk very eloquently of what MOL is doing on its ships. But what do you see from the buyers of commodities in India, companies that buy oil, LNG, and all the other things? What do they want you to do? And do they want you to bring lower emissions products? Do they want to have a green stamp on your ship to say it's got low carbon emissions? Are you seeing change there coming from the consumers or at least the buyers of your products?
Yeah, that's quite the difficult question. But we observe that certainly the demand in for the clean energy like LNG or LPG in India is steadily increasing and quite steadily increasing the both LNG and LPG. So that my guess is that there are so many requirements for the power generation and city gas and so many that are related to the people's life, and that we really want to contribute to accelerate this change in India to provide that the sufficient and also the efficient the transportation to India for LNG and LPG. The good point is that nowadays, particularly that the price of the LPG is quite competitive. So that therefore that it will be the quite good the alternative fuel for Indian economy. The getting out from the for example the charcoal or the quite the primitive household the requirement of the heat. One of the problem we are facing is that India is such a big market and big countries, and the many different customers has a different agenda regarding to that the environmental issues. The big institutes they are very eager to reduce emission, that scope 1 to 3, so that there is no big difference between the European or American big institutes. However, the small business and the day-to-day the operation of the business side, that we still need to provide a very economical the price of the fuel. So sometimes their preference is not very clean transportation. So we must be practical, but I think that what we can do is that by providing the good quality of the service to Indian market, that to encourage the people to use more and more the gas, the LNG, LPG, SN, those things, and then it will be the good thing for the Indian society and the industry.
Yeah, I like that answer, and you're pointing to maybe a two-tier world of commodities where, I mean, just take where I'm from, Europe. Europe may pay a premium for green LNG or whatever, and the ships to bring it, but there's elsewhere in the world that it's all about the economics. So that's going to be fascinating watching how that develops. Olivier, so I'm quite intrigued about the economics and actually the potential you see in the market. Can you talk a bit about how material biogas could become and what it really needs to get going? Is it like many of these technologies we've talked about? Think about carbon capture and storage, needs a lot of government subsidies. I think solar PV is probably in a good place now, but some of the other aspects of electrification, like energy storage, probably needs subsidies. And is biogas in that fuel? So could you talk to those 2 points about the potential of biogas and the economics and the subsidies?
Thank you, Simon, for this question. It's a very good point because technology for biogas, already on the market today. So we are still continuing to make it evolve, digitalizing a lot, making much more automated now in order to improve really much performances on the operation, which is not so simple when you look at that. So, but we don't need really much subsidies to make it happen. So now the question is much more industrialization, how we can scale up that industry at the right level to make it really much competitive with natural gas. So in Europe or in US, you have still a huge gap between the cost of production of biogas and the price of natural gas. So it's still a premium product that is only reachable by customers that can pay for the green premium. But when you go in India or in Asia or in Brazil, for example, the cost of production are largely lower. So if you go to an industrialization with plants that are sufficiently big, you can make economy of scale on that. If you industrialize the process, if you ensure a very high level of performance on the plants, you cannot be so far from the price of natural gas. So you can become competitive. And which is fantastic with that renewable gas is that there is so much potential. If you look about the potential in India, it's between 60 to 100 BCM. So you can do a lot. In Europe, for example, Europe is aiming to have 10% of biogas in the gas grid by 2030, 2035, which is challenging. And its purpose is to build thousands of plants, which is fully possible because there is the potential for doing it. We just need the capital and the time and the engineers, technicians to make it happen. So, and get the permits. So it's why really much in India we think with our partner Adani that we can do so much in that way, managing the waste, industrialize this pathway, and give this optionality to the country, and help customers of gas to decarbonize in the future. But no, we don't need so much subsidy for doing it. We can do it industrially, which is challenging at the moment. It's that there is no policy on the biofertilizer in India. So probably in the future, we'll need some support in that way to help the market growing and developed in the future.
Yeah, I just wanted to add one thing about, I think, this about the shipping. There was a mention about the green methanol or green ammonia. I would request everyone here to visit our stall in hall number 3. What we are, one of the projects what we have undertaken is capturing the carbon dioxide from our stack and utilizing the green hydrogen to convert that into green methanol or the green ethanol. I think this is one of the way what we are going to contribute towards the circular economy and decarbonizing further on this. So we are looking forward for the shipping companies to tie up in a big way so that we can supply this. I think from policy side, there has been some apprehensions which are being raised that necessarily the carbon dioxide should be coming from the biogenic. But I think in this case, the shipping industry should start looking at least for the next 10, 20 years to start with as an intermediary. You should be able to consider this as a green methanol or green ethanol on that side. That's what I was just trying to make the point.
I don't know, I must have been switched off. Final question, because we're just about up on time. We want to let you finish early. Arun, we've just seen I don't know if you've reported your results yet, but some of the big companies or in London and New York have, and they made enormous profits again. Still putting quite a bit of money into low carbon, energy transition. And let's face it, at $75, $80 Brent, it's a pretty good time. There's cash generation. What will you use that cash for? Will it go back into E&P? Will it partly go to decarbonize your business? Do you think more of it should be used for the transition?
One pattern you might have observed in last 3-4 years, that oil companies, particularly P&L, has been very strong in last 3-4 years. And if you notice, this P&L strong performance is supporting some of the green initiatives. In fact, it is a cross-subsidizing. In fact, the conventional industry is cross-subsidizing green industry. Good thing. I'm saying it is not a bad thing. But ultimately, it is circularization of conventional versus new. Conventional is supporting new in their own way by making money from conventional field. Otherwise, standalone companies is still, I would say that as long as it's not an P&L, it is a market cap story which they're playing out still. But P&L story is still being played by conventional guys very strongly supporting green activity. And I think it is a very right step for their major contribution to the green economy or green renewables. And in fact, to make planet a better place to live.
Thank you for that. That's quite profound. And let's face it, I think what we've learned already today is that oil and gas isn't going to go away. We need it for quite some time yet. And we do need it, I think, to help support the development of some of the new technologies. Well, look, with that, we're bang on time, I think. I'd like to thank my panelists here who've done an excellent job answering my questions. So a round of applause, please.
Thank you.